All right, guys, so we have a brand new licensing opportunity from Library X. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do for the licensing opportunities for Library X. Usually, I give you the sort of 2 to 3 minute range for what we do. Usually, I'm telling you, okay, we're going to put together an album to eventually shop for certain various basically platforms and various shows and outlets and ads and all that kind of stuff. This one is very specific because it's being asked by one of their, or actually a few of their clients directly. And so we are going to be creating basically very functional music specifically tailored for certain kinds of infomercials. And this is actually one of them here in front of you. Now, I cannot play this commercial here on this video, and I will not be playing any music or any part of this commercial, okay? And the reason why is because we've been given very confidential assets. Okay, so these are previous infomercials that are not to be shared publicly, privately, with anybody. Okay, so that means I first and foremost am going to follow the wishes of Library X. They specifically told me the only reason why they're bringing me on board is because I've earned their trust over the last few months, and they usually don't like to just send out assets to anybody, but because we have, as a team, have proven ourselves reliable and been able to hold the assets close to home. We've had some other confidential assets in the past, and because we've had a good track record, he's bringing us, the CEO is bringing us on board for this opportunity as well. If any of these assets get shared by us, get posted online, and it gets leaked in some way, our whole relationship, guys, goes down the drain with Library X. So I am definitely trusting all of you with these assets, okay? So please don't let me down, and please don't ruin a really good thing for all of us here in the syndicate, and just keep the assets on your hard drive, and that's it. Don't email it to anybody, don't send it to anybody, don't even send it to somebody else in the syndicate saying, hey, did you get the, no, don't send them to anybody. The only way that you can get the assets to learn and hear the music, the songs that have been placed before in the style of what we're doing here is you need to email me, jesse@syncmymusic.com. You need to give me a statement that you understand the assets are confidential, they are private, and that you agree that you will not be sharing them or posting them or doing anything other than downloading them directly to your computer, listening to them for your own references, and then deleting afterwards. I do want you guys to delete these afterwards. I don't even want the chance of those things just being on your hard drive. Not that they're super exciting infomercials that anybody would want to post online, but I really want to make sure that we don't disappoint our licensing partner and one of our big licensing partners as well. Okay, and I know you guys don't want to as either. So if you do want to get the assets and see the time markings, I will show you the time markings in each one of these commercials. I think they're each about 30 minutes long, and I'll give you the actual start and end of each of the cues that are good examples of what they're looking for. You must email me. You're not going to find them on this post. There's no link here for you to find those. Okay, you need to be obviously in the syndicate, and you need to be emailing me for those, for those references, and I'll be happy to provide those to you. It'll be a direct download link with the timestamps. Now, essentially, these are called call to action corporate cues. So they are going to be optimistic, motivating, pleasant sounding, clean, not dirty, not distorted, nothing like that. They need to be really uplifting, inspirational, motivational, because we need people to be doing something, getting off their butts and calling to order skincare products or whatever. It's going to be various sort of ads that are going to be pitched for these cues that we're putting together. Okay, not just skincare, but skincare is definitely one of the big ones they're going for. But we need to have these moments that are going to inspire somebody to take action. And so basically what we're going to do, you can read all the details below. You can look at all the suggested moods and the instruments and all that good stuff, including I've listed a sort of 2 paragraphs that are directly quoted from the Library X CEO. So those are his notes that he gave me. So I didn't edit them at all. I didn't do anything. I want you guys to read it for yourselves exactly what they are looking for and what their clients are wanting. And it's a good way for you to understand really how specific some of this stuff can kind of get when you get into the licensing business. And so those 2 paragraphs you do need to read all the way through to get even a better understanding of what's being asked for. But essentially, a couple of differences for this opportunity. One is that the references will not be directly given here. You need to come get them through me. But secondly, we are now, usually we do a 2 to 3 minute long requirement for our albums with them. They need these to be 3 minutes and 30 seconds to 4 minutes and 30 seconds, okay? So it's actually longer than we usually do, which means it'll be a little bit more tricky because you can't get as repetitive. They do want to have some variation in your tracks. So don't just use the same thing, the same 4-bar progression or even 8-bar progression for the entire 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I will not accept it. I will reject it. It will definitely not make it onto the album. So you need to make sure that you're creating some variation, and these tracks will be longer than usual, okay? Not 2 to 3 minutes. If you have it under 3:30, I will not even give you any consideration. You need to at least be at 3:30. It can be 3:31, that's okay, and no longer than 4:30. So if it's 4:35, not gonna get reviewed either, not gonna be considered. You need to follow those specific instructions. That's one of the big differences in this opportunity. The structure of your track it's gonna be fairly simple. So just imagine you got this one full track. Here, let me see if I can get in the frame here. One full track. In the middle of the track, have a sort of nice big epic breakdown, almost to nothing. Like really bring it down almost to like where it's almost silence for maybe like a second, and then bring it back up into a second section. Okay, so almost like cut your track in half and have a big cutout right then. Now that you have two halves of your track, in between each one of those halves, have smaller cut down. So if that middle one goes all the way to 0 in terms of the intensity and the energy and maybe even the volume, it goes literally to nothing. Take those ones on these ones maybe down to a 4 or a 3. So not as far down, but just have a little bit of a drop and then build us back up into another section, okay? And then finally, as I said before, I want to repeat it again, you need to have variation. So maybe the first half, let's say we call it our track, we put it into quarters, okay? So the first two can be sort of slight variations on each other, but even that first half needs to be different than the second half. Those need to be very distinct, different sort of progressions, different melodies. They can be related and obviously intertwined in a way, but they need to feel different enough that you're not just looping it. When you go to that second half, I recommend go to a completely new progression, okay? That third quarter of it, have a completely new progression. When you drop down to that 3 or 4 level, build it back up into a completely new progression. It can be related, but almost like you need to have the track split up into 2 different feels, all positive, optimistic, motivating, all that kind of stuff, still following that, but just different musical directions. You know what I'm saying? Like different chord progressions, different leads. Just make it feel like almost like you could have 4 distinct tracks in one. If you can do that, that's where you can get these placements that last 3 to 4 minutes long. And that's where the big money starts adding up when you get those royalty checks on the back end, because you're getting so much airtime, getting that super usage, right, with so much airtime being played right there. What else can I say about this? You do want to have an attention-grabbing intro as usual. You do want to have a hard, definite hit ending like we usually do, okay? So no fade-outs, no fade-ins. Just make sure you get right to the music, get right to something, and then at the very end of the track, boom, give us that nice hit ending. All that good stuff. We are going to limit this one to 3 submissions. If I need to get more tracks, I will always let you guys know and let you know that we can lift it. So what I recommend, some producers, some of you guys have uploaded 3 tracks at once, and I say, no, maybe try the third one, and the third one doesn't quite work, and you're done because you've already put up all 3 tracks. I would not recommend putting up all 3 tracks that you've done right away. Do 1 track, get some feedback from me first, make sure that you don't make the same mistake on the next track or the third track, and then progress forward. So I want to make sure that you guys get the best chances of getting included on the album. And the best way to do that, don't just throw up all your tracks at once just because you have them. Make sure you do 1 at a time. Get my feedback, really try to listen to what I'm saying, sit on those notes for a day or 2, and then try again. That's what I really recommend you guys do with this one. It's first come, first serve, so just hurry up, please. Get this to us as soon as possible. I know that they do have clients that are waiting for this kind of music, so I would like to push this one along as fast as I possibly can. I'll probably also contribute to this one to try to push along the deadline as fast as we possibly can. But it's a really, really great opportunity, and I think that the infomercial market is one of those that's really not tapped into that much. A lot of producers don't even know about it in the licensing business. But if you think about it, these kind of commercials are getting aired all the time. They're getting aired multiple times, and they play for a long time. So there's a lot of potential back-end money and royalties with this stuff. So I'm really excited to see that we're being pulled on board for such a cool gig like this. So please, again, be professional. Keep this stuff confidential. Don't go blabbering about this stuff. If you're in the syndicate, keep this stuff in the syndicate and keep it to yourself, basically, if you have those assets. And again, email me if you're going to submit and you want to get access to these assets. Jesse@syncmymusic.com. Best of luck, guys. I can't wait to hear your music.